about to start the new NBA season, so why not do an annual check-in on Victor Wembanyama? During his rookie year, he came in dominating, wins Rookie of the Year, nearly wins Defensive Player of the Year as well. And then last season, he got even better, expanded his range, his numbers increased across the board, but unfortunately the year was cut short due to injuries. So what can we expect in year 3?
Honestly, not exactly sure, but as a fan of a team that's not the San Antonio Spurs, genuinely terrified of this man.
Before we start talking about Victor Wembanyama going into year 3, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. So before we get into our expectations this year for Wemby, let's recap his career so far. His rookie season, he came into the league with just insane expectations, the highest since at least LeBron, maybe the highest just straight up ever, and somehow he lived up to them. In just his second game, he drops 21 and 12, has that double block on Jabari Smith Jr. Spurs won the game in overtime. It only took him 5 games to drop his first 30-point game. He had 38 and 10 on the road in Phoenix. Next game at home versus the Raptors, he had that block on OG Anunoby, where I don't think the ball ever got in the air. OG puts up the shot before it even starts moving.
Just took his lunch money.
Yeah, Vic just takes it from him.
Spurs would struggle big time though early on. They at one point lost 18 straight games in a row from early November to mid-December, and overall they had just a 3-20 record after their first 23 games. And during that time, Chet actually overtook Wemby as the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. He won Western Conference Rookie of the Month in both November and December, and he actually got the better of Wemby in their first ever matchup as Wemby only had 8 points and 5 turnovers. But really the game that convinced us, and I think convinced a lot of people that Wemby was gonna live up to the expectations, was gonna be a star, was that game against the Bucks in early January. I mean, during the game, he has that behind the back on a fast break to get around Dame and then just dunks it on Brook Lopez. Yeah. Alley-oops it to himself off the backboard at one point. And then at the end of the game, had a couple blocks, including one on Giannis to keep the Spurs alive. I mean, they ultimately lost the game. Giannis went for 44 points, but Wemby put up 29 points, 9 boards, 5 blocks, national TV game. And it was kind of at this point where I was like, you know what? Think this guy's gonna be better than Scoot.
You made a defeat.
Yeah, I think so. I think I waved the white flag after this game.
Less than a week later, he has his first triple-double. He drops 16 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists in a win versus the Pistons. Then in late January, he had a volleyball spike block on Anthony Simons one night. And then the very next night, he does a sham god dribble to get around Rudy Gobert.
He got 7 3-dudes dribbling like Donovan Mitchell out here. It's crazy.
In mid-February, he had a game against the Raptors where he had a triple-double with 10 blocks. Overall, 27 points, 14 rebounds, 10 blocks, and 5 assists in the game. After his rookie season, we made a video on him, and I remember people in the comments kind of referring to that game were saying, it's only a matter of time before this dude has a quadruple double. It hasn't happened since David Robinson in 1994. I think only 4 players in NBA history have ever done it, but Wemby's gonna do it here soon. It could be next season.
I don't know if that's a prop bet you can take. It's next player to get a quadruple double in the NBA. Take him.
Easily.
He's the runaway favorite, and yet it'll still be free money.
Yes.
9 days after that game against the Raptors, he had that 5x5 game against the Lakers, became the first player to do it since Nurk did it for the Blazers in 2019. Yeah. There's a hell of a trivia question for you. 4 nights after that was the game where Wemby basically wrapped up the Rookie of the Year argument. He had 29 points, 13 boards, 7 assists, and 5 blocks in a win versus Chet and the Thunder. Then finally in late March, he had his first 40-point game when he put up 40 points, 20 boards, and 7 assists in an overtime win against the Knicks. Overall, ends up running away with Rookie of the Year, wins it unanimously, finished first team all defense, becoming the first rookie ever to do so, and nearly won Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie. Finished second behind Rudy Gobert, but still got 19 first place votes. Spurs as a team were still terrible though. They only won 22 games, had the 5th worst record in the league, but Wemby, just on an individual level, one of the best rookie seasons we had ever seen, so expectations were sky high going into year 2.
And over the following offseason, the Spurs did a good job of building around Wemby, so at least he had a competitive team around him. First, you draft Stephon Castle with the 4th pick. He'd go on to have a great rookie season and actually won Rookie of the Year, so back-to-back Rookie of the Year winners. And the Spurs, they added some vets. They added Chris Paul, also added Harrison Barnes. So, maybe this could be like a play-in team. Probably not the actual playoffs because the West is always so competitive, but maybe if things go right, they can make the play-in. And the Spurs got off to a much better start. They were 11-9 after the first 20 games. Wemby, initially had a little bit of a slow start given the insane expectations. This was highlighted in a loss versus the Thunder where he had just 6 points on 1 of 5 shooting. But in mid-November, he really picked it up. He had his first 50-point game versus the Wizards. In mid-December, he had a 42, 6, 5, and 4 game versus the Hawks. He had another 10-block game when he had 30 points, 10 blocks, and 4 boards versus Portland shortly before Christmas. And then on Christmas Day in the Garden, everyone's watching, for us, it's 9 a.m., Christmas morning, drops 42 points, 18 boards, 4 blocks, and 4 assists in the Garden.
Yeah, it's something we highlighted in the previous video we made about him around this time. His shooting range just became Steph or Dame level around this time. It was crazy. He got the Brook Lopez syndrome where all of a sudden he just started raining in deep threes 32, 33 feet away. It was nothing. And we knew he was a good shooter coming into the league, but the range he showed around this time, and of course, you had some old head people, Shaq was saying oh, I want my big in the paint. And some people are going to scoff at, a 7'4" guy shooting 9 threes a game, which I kind of understand, but at the same time, it's still an efficient shot for him. It stretches the defense out. And this is a great time for him to be developing that jump shot. Now, 3 and 4 years from now, when the Spurs are probably contending for NBA championships, I don't expect him to be hucking up 9 threes a game, probably closer to the 6 or 7 range, but develop that jumper now when you got time.
Yeah, I think the coaching staff I heard was encouraging him to take those threes because you want him to have confidence in that jumper later on. So it's a tool, in the tool bag. Not that he's going to be forcing up, 10 threes a game when he's aged 26. Wemby kept playing great into January. He has a 35-point, 18-board game against Jokic and the Nuggets. Had a 30-point game later in the month versus the Pacers. Did that back in his homeland. It was in France. And then in early February, the Spurs go out. They get him a co-star. They trade for De'Aaron Fox. Great deal for them. They gave up 3 future firsts that I think weren't actually their first. It's just first they'd accumulated, and just 3 random role players that weren't super important to the team. They didn't give up Castle. They didn't give up any young piece for them. So bringing in a guy like Fox to pair with Wemby without giving up too much, it was seen as a great trade. And at the time, their record was 21-26. They were just a few games out of the play-in. So it was with the addition of Fox, with the improvements they had already made off of last season, people thought they could make a push for the play-in. They were a trendy pick to make the play-in. We might be getting our first Wemby postseason hoops. Just over a week later, Wemby makes his first All-Star game, but unfortunately, shortly after that, randomly, out of nowhere, we get the news he's shut down for the rest of the season on February 20th. And it was absolutely shocking to hear, and it wasn't just unfortunate and sad for Spurs fans. I remember seeing that, I was damn, man, like I said, I thought we could potentially see at least playing games for Wemby. You never know. They could have made the playoffs, and then just out of nowhere in year 2, he shut down for the season.
Well, I was also worried about his long-term future. I mean, he was out with blood clots, and if you remember, blood clots basically ended Chris Bosh's career.
Yeah,
when he still had, quite a few more good years left in him. So, the hope was it was a one-off like it was for Brandon Ingram, not what happened with Bosh. Spurs obviously regressed with Wemby out the lineup. De'Aaron Fox was shut down in mid-March after he had surgery on his pinky finger, so the Spurs once again found themselves back in the lottery. Lucked out again, got the 2nd overall pick. Thank God they didn't get the 1st pick because, Wemby and Cooper Flagg it would have just been unfair. Hell, Wemby and Dylan Harper might be unfair depending on how good he is, but with Harper and Fox and Stephon Castle, they're now stacked at the guard position around Wemby. Also had the 14th pick from the Hawks because of the DeJounte Murray trade, so they used that to take Carter Bryant out of Arizona, one of the better 3-and-D prospects in the draft. And Wemby on an individual level just had a crazy offseason. He spent time in China meditating and training with Tibetan monks or something like that, training in Kung Fu, trained with Hakeem in Houston, played pickup soccer in Costa Rica and Tokyo, trained with Kevin Garnett. This is gonna seem kind of random, but there's a character in DC Comics called Amazo. He's an android that copies superpowers of other heroes. There's a great episode of the animated series where the whole Justice League's fighting him, and every time one of them shows up, he just just like copies their abilities. Like, oh, he's got super speed now. Like, oh, he's got super strength. Oh, he can fly now. Now he can read our minds.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with Wemby. Every time I see this guy, he's got some insane new ability that like I didn't think he had before. Like, oh, he's doing the Sham God now. Oh, he can shoot from 35 feet. Oh, he's training with Kung Fu now. Like, oh, he's playing what can this guy not do at this point?
And on top of that, on the Spurs website, he is now listed at 7'5".
That better be propaganda.
I don't know.
That better just be the Spurs trying to scare the rest of the league.
I think it's real. Like, there was also like interviews he does with the same reporter every year. You compare the photos, and unless she shrank, she is not as tall as she used to be on Wemby.
Well, for the sake of us all, hopefully she shrank.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm just happy to see him back. He's cleared by the Spurs to play. In his first, you know, preseason scrimmage game, he just straight bullied Luke Cornett on a dunk. In his first, like, official preseason game, he looked great. It was against the Guangzhou Loon Lions. I think that's how you pronounce it. Maybe. Weirdly enough, that team actually has Frank Kaminsky, Victor Oladipo, and Tim Frazier.
Okay, yeah.
So they got some, you know, former NBA talent there. And Wemby, in his just 16 minutes, he dominates. 9 points, 10 boards, 7 assists, and 3 blocks, like I said, in just 16 minutes. Spurs have a couple more preseason games that'll take place before this video comes out. One against the Heat, and then another against the Jazz. So we'll see how he plays in those. Of course, it's going to be on limited minutes. But with all that being said, what do you expect from him in year 3? ESPN had him listed as the 5th best player going into this season. I think they kind of do like a prediction. They think he'll be the 5th best player over the course of the season. Sometimes people get confused by those ratings, but I think that's how it works. So what do you personally expect from Wemby?
Well, who are the 4 ahead of him? It was like, what, Jokic, Shea, Giannis, Luka, probably?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so it's like the 4 guys that like everyone agrees are like the top 4 players in the country. Honestly, I think by the year's end, like right now it's like those 4 and then it kind of, there's like a big gap, right?
Right.
I think by the end of the year it could be those 5 and then there's a big gap, right?
Yeah.
Like I think he could join that group of guys where it's just like unquestioned, these are the best players in this sport. Like, you know how in the NFL right now we have like the 4 quarterbacks, right? You know, it's Lamar, Burrow, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and then like a gap, right?
Yeah.
Like Stafford's good, but he's not as good as those guys, right? I think if everything goes right for Wemby, like he could join that category. Like the Spurs as a whole, I think are maybe the biggest wild card in the NBA. Like I could see them like maybe jumping up to like the 2nd or 3rd seed because like they just have that much talent. At the same time, I could see them being around like, you know, the 7th or 8th seed because they are still very young. They don't have a lot of experience. They are making a coaching change. Mitch Johnson has taken over for Pop, although he was a Pop disciple. He was there for a long time and he did coach them for most of last year. So there shouldn't be, you know, too much, you know, changeover, but it is still a change nonetheless. But just Wemby personally, yeah, I think by the end of the year, we're going to be looking at like him with those other 4 guys and being like, these are the cream of the crop of the NBA. And then there's a big gap.
Yeah, I might go even hotter. I definitely agree. That's going to be like the big 5 after this season. The one thing is I don't think he's going to pass Jokic. I think that's,
No.
The gap between Jokic and them is also so big. So I don't think he'll pass Jokic, but I think he's going to be in like, is this dude the 2nd best player in the league? Like that's going to be the debate. Like
I think he could definitely pass Luka.
Yeah, and then people are going to be saying, in my opinion, I think they'll be saying, is he better than Giannis? Like, is it Giannis or Wemby? And maybe even is he better than Shea? That's a little bit disrespectful to Shea, I'm sorry, because Shea just had one of the greatest seasons we'd ever seen. But I really think Wemby is going to have a sort of season like that. I think, you know, if you want to throw some money, he could be a good pick to win MVP. I think if the Spurs have a good season, he puts up the numbers, stays healthy, he's going to be in that discussion. And for the Spurs, I'm kind of in the same page. I think most likely they'll avoid the play-in. I wouldn't be shocked, like you said, if they made it, but I think they're going to be around like the 4 or 5 range. If everything goes well, maybe the 3rd. We might be jumping the gun here because they're so young, but I really think Wemby is that good. So I just, sky's the limit. I think basically anything's on the table. Maybe, you know, not the best player in the league, but you know, it's only a matter of time. Jokic, he's so consistent. He's always there. It feels like he's never going to fall off, but Wemby, at some point here soon, he's going to take his place. It's just a matter of time.
Interesting.
So what do you guys think? What's your take? Where will Victor Wembanyama rank in the NBA by the end of this next season? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like. And hey, while you're here, check out some of our other content as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.